Howdy y'all, this is Texas Gaming Industries here, and welcome back to another episode of my Let's Play of Transport Fever 2. In the previous episode, we basically finished Era 2 after building a tourist trap on the little island of Miyoka. And in this episode, we are heading into the campaign for our final era, final era of the vanilla campaign, from the 1960s all the way up to the present and the future. So, let's head to the campaign and see what needs to be done in Era 3.
Mankind is constantly creating.
The world is shifting closer together. The volume of passengers is exploding. The global flows of goods are multiplying. Meet the logistical challenges before and after the turn of the millennium. China between the dawn in the land of the rising sun. In the 1960s, as the horrors of World War II gradually fade away, Japan's economy experiences an unprecedented boom. Thanks to strict discipline and a will towards continuous improvement, the country is catching up to the industrialized nations of the West. A fast-paced era.
Our first mission of Era 3, Shake Us In, will take us to Japan. Basically, to the beginning and operation of Japan's very first high-speed railway, as well as the very first high-speed railway in the world, between 1960 and 1970. So let's head off to Japan and help get the world of the bullet train into motion.
Tokyo is soon going to host the Summer Olympics. New records are in demand, and not just in the stadium. The Japanese State Railroad is pursuing a grand project. The world's first high-speed train. You have been entrusted with carrying out the project. Your motto is absolute perfection through continuous improvement. The country's topography has several pitfalls in store. Numerous obstacles must be overcome so that the new train can reach top speeds of over 200 kilometers per hour. Mountains, bodies of water, and populated areas make it hard to plan a straight-line route. Tackle these construction challenges and create a masterpiece of Japanese engineering. Each route segment presents various difficulties, each of which calls for taking very specific measures. Find out what needs to be done.
But before we do that, welcome to the first mission of Era 3 in beautiful Japan. As you can see, there's plenty of little towns around here and a couple of industries. Although, one industry requires one particular product to make a product that's needed in the other towns. But our mission is simple. We need to connect Tokyo to Osaka on the other end of the map. But we need to basically prepare the route for the new high-speed railway. So let's figure out what we need to do first.
Mountainous terrain stands in the way of level track routing. Arrange test drillings for building tunnels.
Which, we need to take the stone from this quarry, the tunnel digging construction site, all the way to a stone heap. Now, for those who don't know what this mission is about, it's basically based off of the Japanese National Railways, a state-owned railway company formed after World War II, designed to basically, nationalize the railways across Japan. However, as JNR was losing money on passengers to both domestic air travel as well as the automobile, they decided to design a new type of train called the Shikazen, or bullet train, hoping to win back passengers and bring a new age to railways which are constantly, at this point, looked upon as out of date. This is something that we cannot stand. We need to show the world that railways still have a future in the developing lands. So let's get 10 of these VIS 150 pickups and get them to load up with stone. And what about this building here?
If the route is supposed to run along the straightest path, the mouth of Lake Hamana has to be dealt with. Make preparations for building a bridge,
which requires construction materials. We'll basically connect this construction materials site with the construction materials plant. We'll lay down another of these and get it up to 12 tiles so we can have a good amount of trucks being pulled in to pick up their cargo. And we'll drop this one off here so trucks can drop off their loads and head back to the factory. We'll connect these two together. Have this one load up in 10 minutes. And acquire 10 of these VAZ 150 pick and flatbed trucks. Now, before we start operations, let's basically look at the tracks available. We have both standard and high-speed tracks. Now, standard tracks can be electrified, but the problem is they are limited to 75 miles an hour. But if we use higher speed tracks, it could go up to 186, which can be proved useful for our new high-speed trains. So we'll probably might have to use this type of train to basically help not only the development of the JNR system, but also help bring the idea of high-speed rail to the world, signifying that there are trains that can bring people back to ride on. Now, the only things we have for locomotives is the Russian class P3644 and the Russian class TE3 diesel locomotive, the boxcar, flatbed with side stakes and gondola, as well as these two electric multiple units. Dr. Yellow, which is the high-speed test train, and this, the Series 0 Shikisen, the first generation of Japan's bullet train as it was introduced in 1964. But before we get that done, we need to basically get the tunnel carved and get the bridge ready for our tracks. Now, we can start laying down tracks already before we do anything else, but as you can see, quartering speed may be slow because the curve is a little too tight, not if it was like this. So, in order to make sure that the curve is perfect for the high-speed train, we're going to put it at 160 miles an hour on these curves, as much as possible. If not, we can easily basically move it to a radius that doesn't bring that little message. I'll put it right here. Start building a tunnel into the mountainside. We already got the tunnel preparation site finished, so we probably won't need the vehicles on line 1 anymore. That will basically save us some road for the track. I'll have to limit the curves in here at about 144.5 in this area because of how tight this area is. Cornering speed may be too low. I guess I'll have to make that straight section a little shorter. There we go.
Excellent! Under your expert guidance, the necessary preliminary work has been completed in short order. Now the actual route construction is next on the list. See to it that the necessary construction materials are delivered and use a precisely planned embankment to make sure that the maximum peak velocity is reached whenever possible. The route is going to be subjected to enormously high levels of stress. Large amounts of steel and concrete provide for the required stability.
Now, before we continue, we'll need to deliver about 80 units of steel and construction materials to this main office, which, once the trucks is stopped, I'll simply build a new station here, primarily to drop off loads of steel and loads of, well, construction material. Just have to build around this portion of water for the trucks. And then connect it here. And change line 2 from Grange Road to here.
Japan is a major fishing nation. Everything that ends up in the net ends up on a plate, even when it's not a fish at all, but a whale, for example. Good money can be made with that.
I could earn some extra cash.
A popular saying goes, big fish don't live in small ponds. Process the fresh seafood from Fisher Tom's trawler for sushi, sashimi, and other specialties in Japanese cooking.
Now we can start transporting fish, as basically the fish is required at the main office, along with food as well as steel and construction material. We'll basically use line 1 again for this operation, but we'll also have to get another station ready for the trucks to pick up steel. Alright. Let's purchase 10 of these for the fishing operation, and purchase 10 of these for the steel operation. Now, we need to basically be very precise as we build this curve. So we basically need to make sure that this bridge is going to be good enough for our high-speed train. Speed's too low. That's because it was built on top of a stone bridge. Not good for our high-speed railway. Now, what bridge should we use for this? Let's have a look. We could go for the realistic iron bridge or the fancy suspension bridge. The speed's too low, so we'll probably have to use the iron bridge instead. So that's fine, because the real live Shinkansen bridge that some people often see is basically that type of bridge. Just down there. Those trucks are not gonna look good if the truck gets stuck on that on a railway crossing with a high-speed train. I think I'll probably just build a bridge on top of the road, well, a bridge on top of the railway to prevent an accident from happening. There we go. Next, we gotta get rid of this. There we go. So the first leg is already finished. We'll just wait until we get more steel and fish, as well as construction materials delivered to the central offices. Speaking of which, I should change my company name to Japanese National Railways, which is the company that's spearheading the project. Alright, it's gonna be a while, but hopefully, once we deliver at least 10,000 fish, we should basically be in a good amount of profit. Though, I think this road leading here, and at the same time, let's see if we could smooth out a bit of the land around here to make it a little more realistic. There we go. The track work around here looks a lot better than I originally thought. I personally thought the line was going to be covered with little bumps and stuff like that, and that won't do at all, again for a high-speed railway of this caliber. They'll be flat running all the way, though we'll have to add a couple of passing switches here, so our high-speed trains can easily use platforms 1 and 2.
The whole Earth is shaking. That happens frequently in Nippon. No cause for alarm. Carry on.
Okay, something is up. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's gonna work out. Plus, these long needed switches for the high-speed train is not gonna work out. But other than that, though, we'll almost have enough construction materials and steel delivered to the construction site. Just needs a little more deliveries, and everything should be finished. And then we can finish up the rest of the track, and then get the line tested out before we start our regular revenue operations. Because we have to get to connect Osaka, and we can't basically build a track around it. Construction materials has been delivered, so as
The nature of the high-speed route demands that a special standard is met. Steep inclines and sharp curves are to be avoided.
we already got the tunnel and the bridge connected already. Now the only thing left is to connect Osaka. Once we're done with this connection, the railway should be ready for testing, and eventually a grand opening to start Shinkansen service for the Japanese National Railways.
It's bucking again. What could have done that? How weird. As if your trawl net tickled something at the bottom of the ocean.
Something's up. I don't like it. Plus, we'll be limited to basically digging a tunnel underneath the mountain, which is fine.
The new route has been completed, the backbone of the Japanese railroad network. Now it has to be ensured that everything runs with the greatest precision. Analyze the tracks and rolling stock in terms of possible optimization potential. Prepare the future route maintenance and provide for the greatest possible safety in the event of an earthquake. Dr. Yellow makes sure that everything runs smoothly without a hitch. The yellow work train detects even the smallest defects. This is especially important on bridges and in tunnels. Perform the necessary test runs.
Now we can get started on using our new trains. But first, we'll have to get some signals set up, because we might be running multiple trains on this route, and it's gonna basically cost a lot of time and money if one of those trains is stuck behind one another.
Huh? It's happened again. This is slowly getting scary. But there's no time to speculate. The fishing quota is still a long way off.
Something is going on. And I do not want to know what it is, but I don't think it's anything good. Let's see.
Something's wrong here. This can't be any normal quake. The epicenter of the tremors seems to lie somewhere out here in the ocean. Find out where exactly.
Huh. It's near the fishing... Well, near the fishery. Let's have a look.
It looks like your sideline has startled something really monstrous deep down in the ocean. Something that seems to be bothered by your activities. It's bubbling and churning and scratching the ship's hull. Maybe you'd better stop.
I think I should. Well then, that's basically it, I guess, for the fishing. But, however, our fishing is still going, even despite the fact that we are disturbing its peace. But, other than that, though, let's get a new route set up. This time for the arrival of the Dr. Yellow train. This train will basically travel along the route and make sure that everything is in good working order. Plus, we can even use it to test to see how the line looks. We'll stop at Tokyo Station to pick up some inspectors, and set off onto the line. We're slowly gaining speed. Entering Tunnel 1. Nearing 140 miles an hour. Crossing bridge. Finally pulling into Nagoya. We just need to cross back on the same bridge again to complete this task. And we're only limited to one of these at a time, so we just can't have more than this one. But however, with the signals in place, it should basically make everything safe. Though, I have to wonder why that train basically went over the crossovers instead of going on the same track. I think I should just basically see if I can, well, just do it like this. Not what I want, but it will at least prevent the trains from basically getting into a bottleneck. Okay, it's traveled along the rails, and it's traveled through the tunnels. Now it should basically travel back on the same line heading towards Tokyo. Though, I think I might know a way to get past this meters traveled on bridge. Once the train reaches the bridge, I'll stop and see what happens. I think I might actually have another idea. Ha-ha! I'll drive it up a little bit forward and add another temporary switch. And then drive it over the same bridge again.
All trains are equipped with sensors that automatically trigger an emergency stop in the event of an earthquake. If the system happens to fail, the staff must be able to bring the train to a standstill as fast as possible.
Now we can get started on adding Shakesons to the line. We'll basically purchase 3 of these for the operation of the line. But geez, are they expensive. But look at them. First generation bullet trains. Though, wonder if I can give them a new paint. Let's give them a more realistic dark blue. Nobody's on our Shakeson just yet. After all, we're still testing the line. Make sure everything's in good working order. Actually, is there a darker blue? That's a little too dark. That one's too bright, so this one is just perfect. Okay. Once the trains are at full speed, I'll basically pause the trains, well, pause the game, and put the trains on stop. And
Every single car ought to be stripped down to its individual parts at regular intervals. The hub office needs capable personnel to do this.
And now we gotta deliver people here via bus. Thankfully, this town is close by, so we can at least start transporting passengers. But I think we'll basically take care of the rest of the tasks in the next episode. So, if you enjoyed this episode of my Let's Play of Transport Fever 2, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to Texas Gaming Industries for new video uploads every Friday or Saturday, depending on my outside schedule. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!